I was watching Stranger Things 5 and noticed something crazy. Back in Season 4, we see Holly playing with a toy and drawing a white rabbit. But wait, what if I told you this was a foreshadowing detail? Check it out. In Season 5, Holly is literally dressed as Alice. And we even see an Alice in Wonderland poster in Volume 2. So if Holly is Alice, Henry is the White Rabbit with the same vest and pocket watch. But wait, when I rewatched Alice in Wonderland, I noticed something. Look, in this shape. Does it look familiar? This isn't just a coincidence. It has to mean something. Either Henry is just a servant of the Mind Flayer, like the White Rabbit serves the Queen of Hearts. Or this connects directly to Henry's sister, because in one scene, Holly is wearing her clothes. And guess what the name of Henry's sister is? Mind-blowing.
The Metaphysical Breakdown of Stranger Things, Season 5, Volume 2. The Metaphysical Breakdown of Stranger Things, Season 5, Volume 2. Yes, sir. What's the deal, family? What's the deal? Dreamwise here for another one. Yes, sir. I wanted to dive deep into the fold of this breakdown of Stranger Things, Season 5, Volume 2, because it was a doozy. It was a lot. And essentially, a lot of times when these creators are making these shows, it could get confusing at times. It could kind of damn near get even, shit, boring, if you will. You feel me? I'm sitting there watching it like, God damn, get to the point. You feel me? Yeah, damn. I'm sitting here watching that damn Volume 2. I'm thinking to myself, like, all right, easy. Somebody gonna have to just come on with it. Shit, we don't got all day. They trying to take you on adventure after adventure after thing. But nonetheless, you know what I'm saying, once you get to the ending of these Stranger Things, it's all kind of ties in and makes sense, if you will. So I'm gonna dive deeper into the invisible and the metaphysical breakdown of it. And remember, the metaphysical breakdown is just beyond the physical. So the invisible realm that they're not quite showing you, I'm giving you that play because essentially that's the only play that matters. And in the grand scheme of things, when you are dealing with your spiritual self, that's all that matters. The Doctor Strange in you and understanding that aspect of you that, needs to be renewed or rebirthed. So, hey, I'm excited about this build. What's the deal, family? What's the deal? What's up, Jock? Sam, Chef Curves, what's good? Amaru, what's good? What's good? What's up, Desiree? What's up, babe? All right, let's get it on. Okay, so I want the family to go get this book, Outside the Circles of Time. Outside the Circles of Time, because essentially that's what this wormhole tunnel thing that Dustin found was all about. Is about getting out of time. Now we're gonna play along with this show, and act like Hawkins is the real world. But we understand as occultists, as metaphysicians, that the real world is, beyond this physical, right? And deeper than that, you just got to read between the lines of what this show is trying to do. Because at the end, that last episode that's happening New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, they're basically just going back home. And that's the whole point of all of these shows. They're going to go back home, right? Because at the same time, at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? What, they're going to go to Dimension X or the final great by and by? Nah, that's not happening. So, y'all definitely get this book, Kenneth Grant, Outside of the Circles of Time, because that's what I'm basically kind of discussing in this whole build. But we can still make the idea and the bigger scheme of this thing, in the aspect of this Hawkins reality that they're trying to get back to. You feel me? Or make Hawkins enlivened, conscious, aware, because that's the biggest idea of it all, right? So this scene was it all. This was all the scene. This was the whole scene. This was all 3 of volume 2 episodes. Basically, this ending scene in episode 6 was the scene, right? And as you can see, they got on microphones because boy, was they dry as hell, boy. God damn. I'm talking about, we like, come on, man, get to the point, finish up, make it through the hole.
Sorry about you.
The wormhole that is. Damn. I'm talking about they was having a goddamn podcast for real in that bitch. Nigga, I got up halfway through them talking, went to the restroom, came back, they still ain't made it through the hole. God damn. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, all right, well, they ain't gonna make it. Fuck it. Let's wait till the New Year's. Because they're gonna be stuck again. Hey, I can't make it up. I was tripping in that bitch. Nigga, Lucas in there, he holding Max as she is asleep, sleeping beauty. She holding Max, cradling. I'm just like, damn, they must be, time must not exist because they slowed the fuck down. Hurry up, run, Forrest, run, god damn. Then they got the nerve to run at the end of that hole. Ain't that a bitch? I'm sitting here like, all right, man. You lucky I got 2 more episodes straight of things, because I'll be done with y'all if this was the case. God damn, shit. But nonetheless, this was the episode. This was the scene that breaks everything down, and I'm gonna go deeper into the fold of what it actually did, because essentially, when Max is waking up through the music is just vibration, and vibration is just how you feel about yourself, high vibrational being or a low vibrational being. So essentially vibration is everything, because that's all you are, is a music note. So when they're playing music for her that brings her into her happy place, essentially that's what we're talking about. Happy, love, having high vibrational feelings so you can have a higher sense of consciousness, or so you can be awakened. So a lot of times, music will be represented as vibration in shows, just based off of they're trying to show you it symbolically. I did it in Stranger Things. I guess this was Stranger Things season 4. Yeah, season 4 when Max went into the thing. I did it again in that with the music and vibration. So understand that. But the biggest aspect of what Max and Holly was talking about was the love frequency. And that breaks down to this whole concept of what we're actually doing down here in this 3rd dimensional earth realm. So if y'all don't know the story of Sophia is the story of the fallen angel or the fallen daughter in Gnosticism. And essentially in Gnosticism, Sophia is the wisdom, the spark of light, your last sense of consciousness, if you will. And essentially that's what this whole show has been about from the beginning, the fallen daughter, right? And if y'all don't know, go read up on it. But matter of fact, let me read up on it for y'all. Hold on, share screen, because I got it right here for y'all in Wikipedia. Boom. Okay, boom. See if I can make this thing bigger real quick, and we can get to it. Okay, what is that? Okay, it says Sophia, wisdom is a figure along with knowledge. Among many of early Christian knowledge theologists grouped by the Heresiology. Okay, I've never even known that. Knowing is the key thing. So remember, knowing is what I've been telling you from the beginning. If you've been following me, knowing is your knowledge, wisdom, understanding, but the knowledge is on top of Kether, right? So Kether is essentially the first emanation or the first sephira on the Kabbalah, the tree of life. So knowledge is your knowing, right? You know the ledge, knowledge, know where ledge you're about to jump off of. Know how deep the ledge goes. You feel me? So you have a knowing that you're trying to get back to. You've fallen, right? Malkuth. You're trying to get back to your knowing or your knowledge, which is basically Sophia. But she's here, but Sophia is also in Malkuth, which is 10, and then Kether, which is 1. But 10 and 1 is the same thing. Zeros and 1. 0, 1, 10, right? 10, 1, right? That's what we're going into. The 10 year, 2026 is the 10 year. So we're going into the 0, which is a great mother, and the 1, which is a spark of light. Or even think of Vecna as 001, which is basically the first start. But then 11 was 110 in this Stranger Things show. But I'm going to do a part 2, and because I want to stay on the point that we're on, and it'll get deeper and stranger. Stranger Things, baby. You know how dreams get. Real strange. All right. It says in Gnosticism, Sophia is a feminine figure analogous to the human soul, but also simultaneously one of the feminine aspects of God. So she is basically God, or the spark of light, or your consciousness, your ability to be conscious, right? Gnostic held that she was Psy-guide, so that just means she was masculine and feminine principles, both sides of the coin, right? Or a female twin of Jesus, bride of the Christ, right? Holy Spirit or the Trinity. Remember, the Trinity is knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Many Gnostic systems, particularly through the Syrians of Egyptian, teach the universe began with an original, unknowable God referred to as the parent or the monad. Okay, I don't have to read all of that. So essentially, with the Gnostic teachings, right? Essentially, Sophia fell from Palomura, which is the great by and by, or your greatness, and essentially she became she put herself down here in this earth realm to understand herself, right? But as she did that, she created these other gods, which is the demiurge, right? And these other gods, or these false creator gods, are essentially ruling over your system, right? And then this false creator god also created 12 archons, which is the 12 zodiacs. Now, they also have in Gnosticism 7 archons. You feel me? Because the 7 is still tied to your 7 chakras. 7 chakras, 12 zodiacs are still resistance figures. So even in the aspect of people feeling like, oh, your chakras are divine, well, they're not really divine, because you have to do the work to balance them and rid yourself of the human emotion. So how divine are they really, right? In the grand scheme of things of Gnostic thought. So y'all got that, y'all understand that, because we're occultists, we're spiritualists, right? So in the grand scheme of things, your chakras is not divine through Gnostic thought. I'm just telling you what they're giving you the understanding, which makes sense, because why would I have to do work to get back to another level of God? But in my dream wise thought, I'm saying to myself, right, that no, I came down here, I chose to come down here, right, the fallen daughter, to understand myself from challenges, circumstances, traumas, pain, fear, anxiety, worry, right? All of these different emotions that helps me ride back up the chakra ladder. So I think, a lot of us that came back to assist are in the thought that I'm in, right? We're like, okay, it doesn't really, matter. I could go through another challenge and defeat that demiurge, which the demiurge is just your ego, and defeat them 7 or them 12. Now the zodiacs are also a resistance figure. You feel me? Because essentially the zodiacs are keeping you ensnared in a thought. So if you have, if so, let's say you're a Virgo, right? And you read your zodiac chart and it says, nah, today's not a good day to do anything. Well, now all of a sudden that zodiac then gave you a thought form that makes you a shell of yourself so you don't move. So now, people do your zodiac thing, whatever that may be. I'm just telling you from my perspective of what these zodiacs are. It's holding you back from your godhood or your Christ consciousness way of thinking. Because the minute they give you a thought, they influence you, basically, right? Essentially, you can be ruled by that particular energy, which is something outside of yourself. Go get the book Outside of the Circles of Time, because that's what you're essentially breaking free from, right? So we got to understand that to the core. Like, you know what I'm saying? I know I got some people that deal with the zodiacs and stuff of that nature, but I'm just telling you what it is. You're beyond the zodiac. You're beyond the 12. You're the 13. And you're the spark of light. And you're the first, the one, the all. So that's Sophia, right? Sophia. And this Sophia kind of looks like 11, like a fish, right? And in this Sophia image, they always make her look at like a child, like a Caucasian child. Okay, so that's heavy and a real deep understanding in this thing. Now we know that the real Sophia is melanated. Just tell you what it is. Even though Sophia never existed, it's just a mythological energy that we just got to understand in metaphysics, right? But fuck that shit, nigga. You know what I'm talking about. It's everything is black. You feel me? So I'm just keeping it real and just, keeping it funky, because we got to keep it funky so we won't get confused. But at the same time, at the end of the day, white also just means purity. Okay, so it just means you're just free. It just means you're free. So it just means you're started. So it doesn't mean they're right. And then that's a trick, because melanated people are called white. I'll get into that another day. Most of y'all already know that, so I don't have to really go in depth with it. But just understand that the pure beginning stages is you with a clean slate. That's essentially what Sophia as this image is representing. So now they show her always as this childlike Caucasian girl. Now there's a lot of images out there that show the melanated goddess childlike energy. So, take it for what it is. But for this presentation and for Stranger Things Decode, we're just going to stay with the white figure that they're showing us, the childlike spirit white figure energy. Cool. So boom, this is the whole show. This is it. This is what we've been talking about forever. And it's all about time. Remember, the zodiacs is about your time, right? Your chakra system is a time thing as well, with 0 to 7 being your root chakra, 7 to 14 being your sacral chakra, 14 to 21 being your solar plexus, 21 to 28 being your heart chakra, and so on and so forth, right? So it's always time, right? Outside the circles of time is the book. Trust and believe, nigga. Dream is giving scholarship, and that's how I do. So boom, we seen this fallen daughter concept over and over and over again. It's always the same play, right? Now, Stranger Things is doing it a few different ways. They're definitely doing it with Holly, but then they did it with Max. I explained that in season 4. And then they're also doing it with 11, right? So there's going to be part 2s and part 3s, especially in that finale, that we got to dive deeper into the fold with. Because again, now 11 can just go back home, which will be fire, but I don't think they have the balls to pull it off and let 11 and her twin sister go back home to the greatest greatness. They don't have the ball. They saying they do, but you know how this thing go. They want the emotional good feeling thing at the end of these stories. So that last episode on New Year's, they're gonna bring her back. They're gonna bring her back to Hawkins. But still, Hawkins, right, is Hawkins is basically the home. This is the home that you want to go to. Now, we know that as occultists and metaphysicians, we know that Hawkins is just a third dimensional construct that doesn't exist and is not real and is still part of this zodiac thing. But what they're trying to do is just say, okay, Hawkins is the home, because it'll be confusing to the layman to see them go out into the sunset, into into the great nothingness, into the darkness, into the void. It'd be like, oh shit, they all transitioned. Goddamn, they all went home. They couldn't pull that off, especially with children. So, you know, Hawkins is the home, and that's the kind of understanding we got to have. So the fallen daughter, you know, Alice in Wonderland was the fallen daughter. Dorothy was the fallen daughter. And Snow White, fallen daughter, right? All of these are daughters that have fallen. And at the end of this, y'all see how far the rabbit hole goes. Speaking of rabbit hole, y'all see how far the rabbit hole goes in this particular story. And let me play that video again from the dude that did an excellent job of seeing the symbol of Holly as Alice. Check this out.
Watching Stranger Things 5 and noticed something crazy. Back in season 4, we see Holly playing with a toy and drawing a white rabbit. But wait, what if I told you this was a foreshadowing detail? Check it out. In season 5, Holly is literally dressed as Alice. And we even see an Alice in Wonderland poster in volume 2. So if Holly is Alice, Henry is the white rabbit with the same vest and pocket watch. But wait, when I rewatched Alice in Wonderland, I noticed something. First the clock, then this shape. Does it look familiar? This isn't just a coincidence. It has to mean something. Either Henry is just a servant of the Mind Flayer, like the white rabbit serves the Queen of Hearts. Or this connects directly to Henry's sister, because in one scene, Holly is wearing her clothes. And guess what the name of Henry's sister is? Mind-blowing.
All right, so I'm gonna go deep into the fold of Henry's sister, and we're gonna go down this rabbit hole of Henry's sister, because essentially she is the key, and we're gonna break her down right now. But first, let's get to the understanding of the zodiacs. Right now, obviously, with the 12 children, the 12 children that are pure, right? Essentially, it's 12 children. Children's essence is pure, right? They haven't been corrupted, traumatized, quote unquote, right? They're getting to that stage of corruption and traumatization and all of that particular things, right? As the world keeps on showing itself over and over and over again. So now what Henry is doing is he took the 12 and said, okay, well, I can create a new world with these 12 and have them rule over the world by me corrupting their particular energy. So Henry is the demiurge and the 12 children is the archons. And essentially the 12 children is the zodiacs and Henry is the ego, right? But we got to understand that there's layers to this, because again, Henry got corrupted as a child and he went down a rabbit hole, right? Especially when he went in that cave, you've seen that, right? And he had to defend himself. So he got traumatized in that particular state by killing that man. And the truth is stranger than fiction. It just goes down the rabbit hole. It goes, you feel me? So now, boom, right? Henry Henry's sister, which is Alice Creel, right, is Miss Wheeler. Let me get my sound effects right. You know how dream goes. Message. Now listen to this. This is it, and this is the key, because this is going to break down how they fell down this time-space continuum thing. Now, remember, the wheels is your chakra system. Wheels of light, right? Boom. Which again, I just explained is your time thing as well, or your resistors on this particular dimension, the third dimension, the earth realm. Cool. So wheel, we got that, right? And this is a parallel, and that's why they keep on trying to jump from here to there. You feel me? Because I'm gonna show y'all the time, the time thing, right? And then I'm gonna break down the whole idea. Just watch dream work. You know how I get down. You know how dream get. So now, right, Ms. Wheeler is Henry's sister, right? And she is a part of this story in this Wheels of Light and the circle of time energy that we're diving deeper into the fold with. I'm gonna do a part 3 or a part 2. Don't worry, it's gonna go crazy after I do that, but I don't want to confuse nobody, so I'm gonna keep it rolling. But just understand that that's the key, and this is what it is: trust and believe. She just didn't walk out of that hospital, defeat them demigorgons, and save the day for Max. Nuh-uh. That's not how that story ends. Just watch. Dreamwise told you first. Here we go. So boom, let's go back home. So home is Hawkins, right? Welcome to Hawkins. Hawkins is Heru, or your first eye, or your real home. You feel me? Your consciousness, or your ability to see, right? Which is getting back to the knowledge, wisdom, understanding on the top of the tree of life, which is Kether, right? Cool. Your all-seeing eye. You feel me? All-seeing eye. So in this all-seeing eye, or being in Hawkins, is essentially being at home. Is essentially being in your right state of mind, right? Essentially being conscious and aware. You feel me? And that's the real key to getting out of the circle of time, right? Which I'm about to show y'all right here, right now. So boom, that's the Eye of Horus. Your all-seeing eye is a 13, right? You're outside, or you're in the middle of the circle of time, which is a zodiac, which is a 12 zodiacs, which is a 12 children, which is why all 12 of the children was on this Ferris wheel, right? Stay with me now. So when Holly broke into the middle of that, she went down the rabbit hole, right? And she became conscious. Where did you hear that rabbit hole thing at? Alice in Wonderland, down the rabbit hole to go down darkness. You feel me? Which is a triple darkness of space, right? I'm not going to confuse y'all. I'm just telling you what this is. Or the trimaster in birth to become enlightened, or to become into this world, the light. But you still got to reverse the polarity when you transition out of this thing. Don't worry. I'm going to break it down slowly. But you see this, the zodiacs, the 12, and the eye is you in the middle. So you're the Christ consciousness one. That's you in the middle. The 12 zodiacs is your they're your servants. You feel me? That you don't serve them, they serve you. So that's why whenever you read your zodiacs, you can't say, okay, what you want me to do, zodiac? No, because that's backwards thinking based off of they're giving you something to think about when you have to give yourself something to think about. Now, you can use the zodiacs, and I'm not trying to confuse nobody, but you can use the zodiacs in the aspect of understanding you're human. But when we're talking about this God thing, then you got to break free of the zodiac and become the middle point, or the 13, or the Christ consciousness one, which we're all doing down here in this earth realm. Spiritual beings.
Message.
Hey, I'm just telling y'all what it is. This is it. This is it. Eye of Horus, Hawkins, hawk. That's the hawk that's you seen past, present, and future, right? Your hawk, the hawk is the symbol of seeing past the veil, or seeing your past, present, and future at the simultaneously at the same time, which is the rabbit hole, or the toroidal field, which I'm gonna get to, that you're seeing.
Message.
Hold on, let me show y'all the video, because I'm excited about this, and I know it's gonna get stranger on that last episode. Check this video out.
In our book, Using Diagrams in Psychotherapy, we discuss how to use a variety of diagrams to explain common clinical problems. In this example, I'm going to explain the time circles diagram. The time circles diagram can be used to explain depression, anxiety, and mindfulness. This circle will represent the present. So you and I right now are engaged in the present moment. You are watching the video and you are watching the diagram. In the present, we're engaged in the here and now. We're focused on what's happening to us, and we're not thinking about our past or thinking about our future. We're engaged in the present moment.
The present is the gift. The present is the gift that keeps on giving. And essentially, you know, that mindfulness, instead of a mind full of shit, mindfulness is the key to being more and more enlightened, and to be conscious and aware, because that's where the channels come from. Your first eye, or your hawk, or your Heru, which is having that bird's eye view. Right, we here. Yes, sir.
However, as human beings, we truly are unique in that we can leave the present moment at any time. For example, we can leave the present and we can focus on our past. We can think of a pleasant childhood memory. We could think of a mistake we made. We could think of an accomplishment, or we could think of a particular event and maybe something that somebody did to us. We can also leave the present and we can think about our future. We can begin to make plans. We can worry about something, or we can think about a task that we need to do and maybe what we will need to do to accomplish the task. So there's different things that we can experience outside of the present moment. So thinking about the past or thinking about the future isn't necessarily problematic. For example, we may think about our past and we may gain insight into something that happened and use this insight to function better in the present. So we may learn from our past, but we momentarily visit the past. We don't dwell on it. We reflect on what we need to reflect on, and we bring ourselves back to the present. Similarly, we may think about our future. We may, for example, try to figure out how to accomplish a particular task, and we may engage in problem solving. We may try to figure out what we need to do and how we can successfully accomplish the task. We only momentarily visit the future, and then we bring ourselves back to the present. So visiting either of these circles can be helpful and allow us to function better in the present. However, there are times that thinking too much about our past or too much about our future can be problematic. For example, we may go way into our past and we may dwell on something and find ourselves preoccupied. This may take up most of our time, and we can begin to experience things like regret, anger, guilt, and this may become a depression zone for us.
take up most of our time, right? Dwelling on the past and take up a lot of your time because, again, your emotionally chakra system caught up in something that happened in this illusionary construct based off of, traumas, fears, anxiety, and you feeling like you did something wrong, or you feeling like you can't live up to a particular new idea of yourself just based off of your past experience. So again, when we're talking about rebirthing or recreating yourself, you're going to have to get over the past traumas and understand that you was only human, and that's okay. And in you being only human, you went through particular trials and tribulations as a human. But now, as you're coming into this God consciousness zone, now all of a sudden you know better than to let the past serve your present, which is a gift.
In a similar way, we may go far out into our future. We may really begin to worry about something happening to us years from now, or something happening to a loved one. And we may find ourselves preoccupied with this and not engaging in the present moment. So thinking about the future may become an anxiety zone. We tend to function best when we can focus on the present. In our book, we discuss a variety of strategies, which we call redirection strategies, how to get ourselves back from the future and focused on the present, or how to get ourselves back from the past and focused on the present. So we call these redirection strategies. These are...
All right, so y'all get the point. Y'all see what's happening. The present is a gift. This is where your mindfulness zone is at. This is where you get your channels, your downloads. This is where you're in a higher vibrational state, and this is where your future is happening now.
Message.
Because again, you know that the future is now, and you being in that zone of genius of I'm powerful, I'm a winner, I'm successful, is a cognition thing in your mind to say, I am that I am right now.
Message.
So we got to understand that to the core. And shout out to this brother right here who dropped this video, very good video on circles, right? Now, remember, getting outside of the circle of time is getting out, essentially is getting out of the chakra system, right? And going back home, you feel me? And getting out of the 12 and going back home, which is why when they blew up the pineal gland in season 5, episode 6, is that episode 6 or 5? Episode 6, boom. They created this wormhole thing, right, in a vacuum, and said, dang, okay, now this thing is sucking up the whole world. It's going to take us out of here, which in Gnostic thought is good. But, in the show, the Stranger Things, they're not going to let everybody transition back to the great by and by. But I'm glad that they put the abyss in this thing to at least give the family an understanding of something that's beyond the physical, something that's beyond the human, right? Which is your greatest greatness, and which is you in eternal bliss. Just telling you what it is, family. So now just remember, after they do this one on New Year's, essentially everybody goes back home to Hawkins, which is them saying Hawkins is your eternal bliss, or your first eye, or your you know what I'm saying, you seeing your past, present, and future because you got the bird's eye view of a hawk. Okay, so we got that. That's the wheel, that's the eye, that's the zodiacs, right? And then boom, you see them. You feel me? The 12, this is the last scene that you've seen on volume 2, episode 7, season 5, as all the kids are basically took into this state to be able to start their bidding to become one of these 12 zodiacs. You feel me? Very, very powerful scene at the end. They flashed it, but I caught it and I knew it. And you know what I'm saying? That's basically what it is, right? The human urges, the demi urges. Look, remember, all of these scenes and things in Stranger Things is showing you emotions. So Dustin and old boy is fighting. The girl and the dude that said, "Will you marry me?" They were arguing and angry, right? There was a time I had watched episode 5. I was telling the Patreon family this. I watched episode 5, and before I turned it on, right before I turned it on, it said angry things. And sure enough, that whole episode was about anger, and all the way into 6, right? Just anger, emotions, frustration, sadness, you know what I'm saying, confusion, anxiety, all of those particular things, right? Especially dealing with will, which we're going to get to as well. So, you know, all of those are emotions, right? That you're trying to rid yourself in the chakra system, ridding yourself of the human emotions to become God, right? And that's the biggest aspect down here in this earth realm, is to do your chakra work. Understand that your chakra system is very, very important, and your chakra system is the gateway or the ladder to enlightenment. Even though they're resistors, right? Because essentially, you know, why do we have to do chakra work in the grand scheme of things in Gnostic thought? But essentially, you do it because you're just climbing your way out of the ladder from, you know, your fallen state of the child Sophia to your godhood of the wisdom Sophia. So we got to understand that to the core. So boom, here we go again. We're back to the fallen daughter, right? Back to the fallen daughter, right? Holly, Alice in Wonderland, Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz, and Snow White and the 7 dwarves, right? Cool. Back to the fallen daughters. Boom. Well, let's start with Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz, and y'all go check out my Wicked 2 metaphysical breakdown that I did last video. Y'all check that out, because I went through that thing amazingly. So now with this, right, this is the tornado. The tornado, right? Dorothy is caught up in a tornado, right? Where do we see that tornado at? Or where do we see that cyclical spinning thing at, right? So Dorothy, she's going where? Into Oz through this tornado, which is basically the underworld, or, you know, the upside down, or if you want to just keep it scientific, the subconscious mind, right? So you're going into that particular darkness to understand something about yourself, which Dorothy did when she followed the Yellow Brick Road with her scarecrow, her Tin Man, and the lion, and she gained some wisdom of understanding, oh, wait a minute. When she got to the plains, she said, oh, wait a minute, this was all a game anyway. You just giving me these trinkets, and I just got to believe. See, belief is such a huge thing that, you know what I'm saying, that's basically the basis of spiritual work, your belief, and how you see yourself and how you see the world, right? So if you can get into the belief of, you know, something more powerful or something more stranger than yourself, then essentially that thing will cut off. You just got to get to the aspect of knowing, oh, shoot, there's something deeper and stranger. And then all of a sudden your lucid dream experience starts to happen crazy. your signs and symbols in your waking life starts to come, and then boom, channels and downloads start to come because your pineal gland is activated and it's online. So that tornado is a big thing, right? The tornado here in Dorothy, Wizard of Oz, going down the rabbit hole in Alice in Wonderland, another tornado or circular figure, right? Falling down the state. You feel me? Falling and falling down into the rabbit hole, right? With Alice in Wonderland, where she went into basically the upside down. And then also falling asleep is Snow White with their 7 dwarves or 7 chakras. And essentially, it's all the same thing because you're going into the darkness. So when you fall asleep, you go into what? Subconscious mind realm, from alpha to theta to delta states, right? Which is a subconscious mind realm. And that's where you understand yourself for the whole, your whole self. Now, what does this all mean, Dream? You're falling, you're falling, you're falling. What does it all mean? Well, the biggest tornado, or the biggest going down the rabbit hole, or the biggest falling asleep is you falling into your toroidal field.
Message.
And your toroidal field is set up in the heart chakra. And essentially your toroidal field is your electromagnetic wave that's permeating out of your heart chakra, 30,000 kilometers of energy that's permeating out of your heart chakra and putting you into a GPS system to move in a particular way based off of your heart. So now you're moving in this particular way. This is your tornado. This is your toroidal field tornado. It's the same thing, right? You're moving in a particular way because you strengthen this field. So in strengthening this field, essentially, right, people can feel your energy. Now you're more radiant, you're more confident, you're more assertive, and your belief is intact. Your belief is you having the knowing or the knowledge, which is Kether, which is knowledge, wisdom, understanding. So now, remember, your heart and mind is one. Your heart and mind is one thing, right? Then Heru, or Jesus, pointing at the heart and pointing upwards, is just saying, look, this is where the gateway is, and this is where your spiritual world will start to come into the fold. So it's just important to do your chakra work so you can get to that heart, that gateway, and then you can start making your toroidal field stronger and stronger, your tornado stronger and stronger, so that you can maneuver in this world the way you were destined to maneuver, with your purpose driven.
Message.
So now getting to Will, right? Will had to come out and say, hey, look, family, look, I know, no, I don't want to say it. I'll just say it. I don't want to say it. Okay. I don't want to say it. I know. I don't like girls. That nigga still didn't say it. That nigga said, I don't like girls. I said, God damn it. Just go ahead and say it, nigga. He said, well, I like girls, but I don't like them like how y'all like them. What, nigga? Damn, to be honest, nigga, we already know. They sitting around looking like, what this nigga about to say? What he about to say? Everybody, Dustin, all of them. Luke is looking around like, okay, let's figure out what you about to say. Come on with it. What's up? What did he say at the end of that? He said, he didn't use the G word. He just was like, shit, this is what it is. This is who I am. And I just want y'all to appreciate me. See, and then that was an important speech though, because he said, I want y'all to appreciate me. I didn't want our future to be messed up. So, you know what I'm saying? I didn't say nothing because I was scared of what our future would be like. I don't want y'all to not be with me no more because I'm gay. I had a homeboy, and that shit was true as hell. We knew he was gay since he was 15 and shit. You know what I'm saying? We could just tell, we could feel it. And sure enough, he told us when he turned 21. We went out, and he just came out and just told us. Like, nigga, we knew that shit the whole time, boy. Who you think you fooling, nigga? What the hell? And you know, we kept on being his homeboy. We don't really like fuck with each other now because we all grown, but a lot of us don't fuck with each other now because we just went our separate ways. You know how the world goes, right? But yeah, it's still my nigga out time. What's up, baby? What's good? Everything good? You feel me? I ain't tripping on that shit. You feel me? So that's good that they put that in there. And you know, I see people say it's an agenda and all this other stuff and blah blah blah. I think the biggest aspect is like, okay, how are they gonna portray honesty? You feel me? How are they gonna say, hey, let me be honest about something, right? So, and that's a thing that we can see in the world that we live in. That's a hard pill for a lot of males to swallow if they are in that particular light. That's to say, hey, I'm gay. You feel me? Because again, they're worried about the future and how they're going to be looked at, right? And then they're dwelling on the past, thinking about the magazines they used to look at when they was kids and shit. I was what was I at? I was with a teacher. Oh, I had a sub come in when I was a PE teacher or whatever, right? Came in long-term sub or whatever. And he was gay or whatever, right? I knew it. I could tell it, whatever, cool, right? White dude. And I just asked him straight up. I said, oh, so because we got close because he was long-term for my other coach. So we got close and shit, you know, saying you sitting in that office or whatever. I said, I was just curious. I just said, fuck it, I'm gonna just ask. So did you always know and stuff? You know what I'm saying? He said, yeah, man, I always knew. Ever since I started seeing the magazines with the guys in the underwear, I always knew that I was gay.
Message.
I said, well, god damn. So he was gay, you know what I'm saying? He was like, oh shit. I think I like what I'm seeing here. You feel me? That shit, so shall it be. So, you know, honesty is a big thing, and we got to be honest with ourselves. That's the gateway to your spiritual experiences and to consciousness and to enlightenment. So if you're not being honest with yourself, it doesn't matter how small it is, it's going to keep on eating at you, right? Which is the whole point of the show. And we got to be able to, you know what I'm saying, understand that nobody's perfect and nobody can't tear you down because, you know, because of an image they're trying to hold up, right? Now, it's not about sharing stuff with people. You don't got to just be like, oh, let me share this with you because I'm just trying to be honest. It's more so about you just being honest with yourself and your feelings and how you feel about things. So naturally, you have to come into the space of doing your own shadow work and being able to embrace the darkness, being able to understand that the darkness is not, a negative thing. It's not a bad thing. You and your shadow has to merge. That's what you're doing. You're merging with the darkness to become the light.
Message.
So I want the family to understand that. And that's how you make your toroidal field stronger and stronger, right? And your toroidal field is basically moving you through the honest cord. Okay. So now if you're not being honest, guess what? Your GPS is off track. So now you might do something that you didn't want to do, but you're doing it based off of influences of others. So you honestly didn't want to get in the car with the niggas, but because you trying to be down and be cool and shit, you're like, all right, well, fuck it. Come on, bitch, get in this hole. You're like, all right, man. You see, instead of standing up for yourself and saying, bitch, fuck y'all, nigga, I'm gone. You feel me? So now you are in a whole nother jammed up situation because you knew they was on some bullshit, and now you got caught up in that bullshit, and now you're doing 7 years because you riding with them, because you couldn't be honest with yourself in that moment, saying, I don't really even fuck with these niggas.
Message.
They ain't nothing like you, nigga. You just kicking it with them because you just trying to fit in. You trying to keep it real. Shit, that thing 21 Savage is saying that the streets is dead. Yeah, that's real, nigga. Fuck the streets. You don't have to keep this hardcore mentality about yourself because you grew up in the hood. That's an illusion, nigga. I know some of the smartest niggas come out the hood, boy. You would never know either. You'd be like, oh shit, fuck. Where you from? Yeah, you know, and they stayed the course. You feel me? And they got the book smarts and the street smarts. So they a real problem in the world. So the only way you get to that next level is by being honest with yourself and doing things that you love to do based off of your honesty and your truth. And I'm just going to keep it real. A lot of it has to be healed at the root. So essentially what happens is we use substances, weed, alcohol, all these substances, bars, like I used to use, all them drugs to numb ourselves to another identity. And now it's hard for us to get back to that true identity itself because we're still medicating ourselves instead of meditating ourselves to truth. So it's up to you to have the courage, hey Rue, right, to be honest with yourself, be completely in love with yourself, and understand that if you are going through any addictive behaviors, whether it be you watching porn, you smoking weed every day, you drinking all the time, and you just numbing yourself to be pure, then it's up to you to go down that rabbit hole, go into that darkness, and come into the light.
Message.
Yes, sir, family. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. The Metaphysical Breakdown of Stranger Things, Season 5, Volume 2. Hey, y'all like this thing up? Share this thing. This is going to save somebody's life, baby. This is going to save somebody's life. And, you know, I just want to encourage the family to understand that your childlike spirit is everything. And that wounded child in the heart chakra wants to be healed and he wants to go home. And in him returning home, he'll be renewed. Yes, sir, family. Love and appreciate y'all, man. Love and appreciate y'all. Until next time. When's the next time? Soon. Oh, book club Wednesday, Patreon. Get on with the family. Y'all know what it is. Peace to the gods.